We have over 180 real-time rainfall and water level gauges all across Harris County.
The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik. Today we're going to talk to the Deputy Executive Director of the Harris County Flood Control District. We're going to talk using your home for short-term rentals, and the editor of Realty News Report. Real Estate Matters begins right now. We are very happy to have today on the show the Deputy Executive Director of the Harris County Flood Control District. That's right. He's here, Matthew Zeeve. Matt, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to let folks know about the Harris County Flood Control District and what we're working on and what we will be working on going into the future. First thing, just to start out, the Harris County Flood Control District, where we are a subdivision of the state government formed by the Texas legislature, and our board of directors consists of Harris County Commissioners Court, which is the county judge and the 4 precinct commissioners. And our roles and responsibilities in all of Harris County primarily deal with improving and maintaining all of the open channel drainage systems that you see around the county, all the bayous and creeks and ditches that you may notice around the county. The vast majority of those are the responsibility of the Harris County Flood Control District. And in fact, we are responsible for almost 2,500 miles of open channels. To put that in perspective, that's the distance from flying from Los Angeles to New York. So we have a lot of drainage infrastructure that we take care of, and that also includes several hundred stormwater detention basins and several other smaller pieces of drainage infrastructure. And the Flood Control District, in addition to maintaining all that infrastructure, which primarily consists of mowing, we spend almost $10 million a year just on mowing all of those channels and detention basins. But we also repair things that break on those channels, and to make sure that they work at their optimum efficiency. So when it does rain, and when it rains a lot, all of that drainage infrastructure can do its job. And the main one of the two main topics I want to talk about in our limited time, of course, is our flood warning system. And the Harris County Flood Control District has designed and built and maintains probably, if not the largest urban rain gauge network in America, then it has to be in the top 5. We have over 180 real-time rainfall and water level gauges all across Harris County, and in some locations actually outside of Harris County, because all of our surrounding counties send us their stormwater when it rains. And I encourage everyone in Harris County to go use Google and type in Harris County Flood Warning System. It'll come up, and find the gauge that's closest to your house or closest to some property that you're interested in, and you can make an account and sign up for alerts that come to your phone via text message or an email that if there is a lot of rain during a period of time, or the water's rising, you will get an alert automatically to your phone, so you can watch how that water is rising or how much rain is falling in real time. And we have hundreds of thousands of people already signed up for those alerts, and it's very useful when the rain is coming, because a lot of people still have a little bit of anxiety during heavy storm events from our recent flood events that we've had over the past few years. So a lot of people like to look and see how high the water's getting and how much rain is falling in their area.
Indeed they do, and I'm one of those people where the anxiety rises because I was in my home was flooded in Hurricane Harvey, and that's hard to forget. So when it does rain hard, there's a lot of people all around the city, around Harris County, that are saying, uh-oh, I'm going to keep an eye on this. So that sounds like a great resource. Once again, what are the coordinates for people to look at that again?
Well, the easiest way to find it is just go to Google or whatever search engine you like to use and search for Harris County Flood Warning System.
Okay.
And it'll come right up. It'll be the first thing that comes up. And you can, at the very top, you can sign up for alerts, which we encourage people to do. Or alternatively, just when it's raining, and you want to see what's what's really happening on the ground, you can go to our website anytime, and it's real time. So you can watch the rain fall and accumulate at our gauges, and you can watch the water levels go up at our gauges in real time on that website. So it's a very useful tool, and we're constantly improving it. And in fact, we're working very hard on rolling out a new feature. We're actually going to redo the entire website and modernize it, and then we're actually working on a forecasting feature where we take rainfall forecast from the National Weather Service and then forecast water surface elevations and water inundation if there were to be a flood. So that's something we're working on behind the scenes. We hope to have a beta version out for the public sometime in 2021 next year. But that's something that we're working on. So we're continuously improving that flood warning system. And the second big item I wanted people to be aware of is that we are 2 years into our $2.5 billion bond program. This is a bond program for drainage improvements that Harris County voters approved in August of 2018. And ever since the voters approved that, the Flood Control District has been busy working on taking advantage of the fact that we have funding for projects that we haven't had full funding for in decades. And so we have well over 200 projects in various stages, including planning, design, and construction all across Harris County. And I encourage people, if they're interested to see what the Flood Control District's working on, visit our website, which is hcfcd.org, and you can easily navigate around to see what projects we have going on in your area. And in fact, if you want to know what's going on in your watershed, at the very top part of our webpage, you just type in your address, and the webpage will take you to the watershed where you live, and you can see exactly what projects the Flood Control District has going on in your watershed. So I encourage a lot of people to, if you're interested in drainage, if you're interested in how the Flood Control District's trying to reduce your risk of flooding, please view our website. We put everything that we do, every project, every report, every video, every community engagement meeting, everything that we do, we place on our website so that people can learn about what the Harris County Flood Control District is doing in their area and how we're helping to make the next flood, because it's not an if, it's a when. We will have another flood event in Harris County. No one knows when that's going to happen, but we will have one. But the Flood Control District has hundreds of projects going on as we speak to help people reduce the risk of flooding for the next flood event.
And that website again is?
It's www.hcfcd.org.
Very nice. And simply in a few bullet points, many people think from Hurricane Harvey, that was a massive amount of rain, an anomaly, if you will. Yes, we know it rains a lot in Houston, but that was incredible. But many people want to know from then till now, in just a few bullet points, how have we improved our drainage here, and what else has been done to make it not as bad next time around?
So one program that we completed last month was almost a $90 million repair program where we completed $90 million worth of repairs to our drainage infrastructure from damage from Hurricane Harvey. So we've basically either restored or improved a vast amount of our drainage infrastructure since Hurricane Harvey. So that's one item that we're really proud of. That it seems like a lot of people say, well, it took you 3 years, but I tell people in government time that's pretty darn good. And so
Right.
we're really happy that program is basically 99% complete. And in addition, we have on our website we have an active construction page where we finish. I don't know the exact number, but we finished dozens of new capital improvement construction projects all around the county. We finished new stormwater detention basins on White Oak Bayou and in Halls Bayou. We've rebuilt several bridges along Brays Bayou and completed channel improvements along Brays Bayou to help reduce some flooding risks in the Brays Bayou watershed. So we have lots of projects that all around the county that are either in construction now or will be in construction soon that will lower the risk of flooding. We've on the west side of town in the Addicks, upstream of Addicks Reservoir, we've completed, I don't know how many miles, but I mean, that's close to 20 or 30 miles of channel restoration projects where we've removed decades of accumulated silt and sediment and opened up some of those channels back over double their size they were before Hurricane Harvey, just because we haven't had the funding in the past to maintain those channels as like we want to. So there's a lot of that work that's going on all around the county.
I think it was interesting, too, that you said the amount of money that's spent just on mowing the grounds in these open areas of drainage, how important that is. The other thing I was thinking about when you started out is, as you're talking about the miles, the voluminous miles, and as you mentioned, of the open drainage and things, what about the drainage that's on our streets? Is that part of your role or your organization, or that's different?
That's a great question. In to the general public, most people don't think about who's responsible for different parts of our drainage system. They just want it to work, and I
right.
totally understand that. But the flood control district is not responsible for the drainage in the streets or the storm sewers or the roadside ditches. That typically is the responsibility of whatever city or municipality that you live in. So, for example, if you live inside the city of Houston, then the streets and the storm sewers are the responsibility of the City of Houston Public Works Department. Or if you live in the city of Pasadena, it would be the responsibility of the City of Pasadena. Or if you live in a municipal utility district, it's sometimes the responsibility of that municipal utility district, or it could be the responsibility of the precinct that you live in, depending on if those streets and storm sewers have been dedicated to the precinct. So everybody has to first of all, know where they live. That's very important. And then if they don't know who their responsibility, they can ask if they live in a city, they can ask their council member, or they can, if they live in a municipal utility district, they can ask their operator. That's the person they pay their water bills to, who's responsible for the drainage in their area.
Certainly, it all works hand in hand indeed. We're talking with Matt Zeeb, Deputy Executive Director of the Harris County Flood Control District. As we look ahead, Matt, you must have I don't know how you stay organized. People are pulling you which way, asking you questions about water because it's top of mind. As we look ahead to 2021, what are some of the initiatives and things that are in progress and some of the things that you guys are doing?
One of the biggest initiatives that's going on that is going to really hit the public this summer in 2021 is called MAP Next, and that is our countywide floodplain remapping effort that we started in 2019 with FEMA. And the Flood Control District is well into that process, and we are remapping all of the floodplains in all of Harris County, and we are actually remapping the floodplains in a totally different way than how floodplains have been mapped in the past. And FEMA is working with the Harris County Flood Control District on this effort because what we do is going to set the stage for what the rest of the country may do as they update flood insurance rate maps in other parts of the country. And we're very excited about showing the public what we've done and what we're doing to help them understand the true flooding risks of where they live. And with this latest and greatest updated data, it can really help people make good decisions as they consider buying properties in Harris County.
Indeed, that is so important. In fact, I'm on the website right now. It is hcfcd.org. A ton of information out there. And Matt, what are some of the other things before we close things out here? What have we missed here? I know we want to have you back again, but what else on this segment that you want to tell people about?
Well, a couple of things is if drainage is forefront on your mind, which I think it should, because that's our natural disaster in Harris County. We don't worry about earthquakes or mudslides or anything like that. We worry about flooding. I really encourage people just to take a little bit of time each week, watch one of our videos on one of our introductory videos on our YouTube channel and learn some of the basics about drainage in Harris County. And get involved. We have virtual community engagement meetings very frequently about all of our projects, and keep an eye on a project that's near you, and participate in one of our virtual community engagement meetings. And when we can start meeting in person, we'll start having meetings in person again. And finally, I can't stress enough that the Harris County Flood Control District recommends that every single person in Harris County buy flood insurance. Absolutely.
There's no question. We recommend that on this show as well. The other thing I'm thinking about, living here in Houston these many decades, I just am astounded at the volumes of water just on a regular rainstorm. But what other areas, if you know, around the country get this much rain? Is there anywhere else that gets the massive amounts of rain that we do? Maybe Louisiana somewhere, but where else?
On average, the area between Mobile, Alabama, and New Orleans, on average, gets more rain than the Houston-Harris County area.
Wow.
But on the mainland United States, that's about it. It's kind of high rainfall rates on an average annual basis are dominated by the Gulf Coast.
There you go. Well, it keeps our skin moist, too, so we're not drying out. We all look younger here. There's definitely some benefits. Before we close things out, Matt, what else would you like people to know?
If people have questions or are curious, please reach out to the Flood Control District. We're easy to get a hold of, and we try to respond very quickly when people have questions. And we encourage the public to ask questions and learn more, because drainage does affect every single person in the county, and it's very important, and we take our jobs very seriously, and we like to tell people about what we're doing and where their taxpayer dollars are going.
Indeed. Keep up the great work. He is Matt Zeeb, Deputy Executive Director of the Harris County Flood Control District. Thank you, Matt, for being on the show, and I encourage people, once again, go to hcfcd.org. There's a ton of information there. Thank you, Matt, for being on the show.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk to Lily Lazarus. She is with Coldwell Bankers right here in Houston. Lily, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you, Bill.
It is awesome to talk with you. You are right here doing tremendous work in the Houston, Texas area. But first of all, as far as real estate, you're selling real estate, but you also do something a little bit different than some of the other realtors. But as far as the sales of real estate right now, helping buyers and sellers, let's tell people what you're doing there.
So I do what most real estate agents do. I represent buyers and sellers, but I also have a different side to my business that I invest in real estate.
And that's interesting, because when we think about a real estate investor, there's so many ways you can be an investor. Let's tell everyone how you are doing the investment component in your world.
So I started investing in real estate about 7 years ago, and I did what everybody's doing now. I was flipping properties. I love the idea of combining my interior design knowledge with real estate. So I went into flipping, and it went very, very well until 2017 when Harvey happened. I was flipping a property in Maplewood North. It's not even in the 500-year flood zone, never flooded, Bill. But, after Harvey, I think the whole real estate market came to a grinding halt. And the property was sitting on the market for 2 months without a buyer. And then I came with the idea of furnishing it and putting it on Airbnb. And so I did. And within an hour, I got a reservation. And it is now 3 years down the road, and this house has been booked back to back.
Wait a second. You said within an hour you got a reservation?
Within an hour that I listed the house on Airbnb, I got a reservation. And so I figured, this is working very well. And last year, I bought another property, and this year I bought another one. So I'm sitting with 3 homes that are beautifully furnished and very, very busy. The one of them is have been booked for the past 4 months and will be booked until January next year. Another one is booked until March, and another one is booked until the end of January.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
What are the things what keeps the homes booked for so long in advance? Yes, they're beautifully, the decor is beautiful, but what are some of the other things that people are looking for that are doing the rentals with you on these homes?
So, good question. I figured that since I live in a close proximity to the medical center, and the medical center only going through expansion all the time, and people will always come to the medical center. Unfortunately, they need a place to stay. And my homes are beautifully furnished. I don't put anything that I wouldn't want in my own home. They're beautifully furnished, beautifully maintained, and people are looking for a nice place to come and stay. If they're coming for treatments at MD Anderson and they need to stay here for 2 months, they prefer to stay in a home as opposed to a hotel room. The fact that the homes are beautiful in a close proximity to the medical center is what kept me very, very busy.
As far as the managing of that, and you're doing this on Airbnb exclusively. I know there's other sites as well.
No, I do it on VRBO, but a few months ago I developed my own website, which is medicalcenterhomes.com. And there people can book directly with me to avoid some of the quite high fees that are attached to Airbnb or VRBO for that purpose.
And the website again is?
www.medicalcenterhome.com.
So that's a great resource for people as well. But some of we hear stories, there's certain pitfalls that if someone were wanting to do this, Lily, what would you suggest as far as some of the major pitfalls to avoid and how you've been able to avoid them and do so well with your properties?
Things to avoid is very short-term rental, like overnight. Typically, if somebody wants to rent a place overnight, that's a great attraction for party givers, and you don't want party givers in your property. So all my homes are a minimum 6-night stay, furnish them beautifully. Think that people coming here for vacation to visit family or have treatments in the medical center, they want to stay in a nice place. Don't want to feel like they're staying in a flea market. Maintenance, very important to keep the house really nice and clean, especially with the pandemic going on. Both Airbnb and VRBO issued cleaning guidelines, and it's really important from a liability point of view to follow them. So that's what initially comes to mind.
In fact, I'm on your website right now, medicalcenterhome.com. It has your picture in the upper corner, and we see some beautiful homes, and you have the details. So that's very nice. As far as an investment, so this has been, as you're selling, you're helping buyers and sellers in the real estate world, but sounds like it's been a nice niche for you that you're enjoying.
Absolutely. I really, as you said, Bill, I really do enjoy it. I met a lot of very interesting people. I built relationships with people. I now have people that come back, returning clients, and it's been a really good business for me. I initially, 4 years ago, I bought a condo in the medical center and leased it long term. I had a tenant for 2 years. And if you ask, well, why would you do short term if you can do long term? For me, it works better for me because I don't want long-term renter to come and hang things on the walls and make holes all over the place and treat the place like it's their own. When you rent short-term rental, people are in the mindset that they're staying at your home and they look after it. They don't hang anything on the walls. They come in and out for a week or a month or sometimes 6 months. Needless to say that financially in areas where the rent would be monthly $1,800, I'm profiting $4,000. So it's a no-brainer. And as I said, for as long as you manage the properties well and you keep them very clean and beautifully decorated, it works very, very well.
So was there a difference in your business? It sounds like you've been doing very well here in 2020, the craziest year on record, perhaps. But it sounds like you may have stayed steady before this whole thing started at the beginning of the year. And then how are you going to end up in 2021? Do you plan to buy more properties? And
I am. I mastered the formula that works very, very well. And in fact, I keep on getting inquiries and having to let people down. That's why I recently, a month ago, I added another property, which I purchased also close by on Karoo. But yeah, absolutely. I think it's a no-brainer. When you master a formula that works for you, you just stick with it. You continue expanding.
Systems and procedures. It sounds like, and that's not all, but most successful businesses of any size, that's what they do. They have a system and procedure. They stick to the formula. The Kentucky Fried Chicken has used the same formula for years. I guess it's getting close to lunch.
There you go.
Hey, so changing the subject, Lily, your background, you lived in South Africa. Give us a word about South Africa. That's fascinating.
I was actually, yes, you're right, but I was actually born and raised in Israel. My first 20 years of my life, I lived in Israel, and I moved with my family to South Africa at the age of 20. I lived there for 18 years. I love South Africa. I always have this dream that one day I'll be able to spend 6 months in Houston and 6 months in South Africa, one of the most beautiful cities in the world.
And what city was that?
Cape Town.
Cape Town. Wow. That sounds fascinating. Well, Lily, before we close out this segment, we want to tell people how they can reach you. But also, before we do that, let's tell what else have we missed that you want people to know about, either in doing the rentals or anything else in your real estate world. What should people know about?
I wish that I had a crystal ball. I mean, 2 years ago, I was told that this year the market is going to crash. The real estate market is going to crash. And I'm still sitting tight and waiting for it because there's going to be a lot of buying opportunity. But I don't see that happening. Bill, I thought with COVID, when it all started, that it's going to hit the real estate market. It hasn't done so. We're very lucky in Houston. We have a very strong and very steady real estate market. You're talking to somebody who loves real estate and loves dirt. I believe in it. Some people believe in the stock market. I believe in the real estate market. So I think if one can diversify, it's a very smart thing to do.
Very nice. And Lily, if someone wants to reach out to you, we know your homes are medicalcenterhome.com. They could see the homes there. But also, if they want to give you a call and perhaps want to buy some property, what should they do?
713-817-8999 is the number to call.
That's 713-817-8999. Lily Lazarus, doing incredible work. Lily, thank you so much for being on the show.
You're very welcome, Bill. Love talking to you.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time. Thank you.
If you're a real estate professional, then listen closely. Cyber criminals are targeting our industry. They are impersonating real estate professionals, homebuyers, sellers, and title agents. Their goal is to gain access to your inboxes, computers, and clients so they can steal information and funds. Does your business insurance offset these risks? Not sure? Contact Stewart Insurance to determine if your business is properly insured. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.
Our guest is Ralph Bivens. He is the editor of Realty News Report. It's a tremendous publication. And we're going to tell, if you don't get Realty News Report right now, we're going to tell you how to get that. In the meantime, Ralph is also the author of Houston 2020. Ralph knows what's going on in the real estate world, both residential and commercial. He has his finger on the pulse in a tremendous way. Ralph, welcome to the show.
Hey, Bill. Great to be here. Great to be here.
And I always wonder, as I look at Realty News Report and see your latest bullet points, they are fascinating, insightful. You seem to know what's going on all the time here in Houston, even what's around the corner sometimes. But first of all, before we talk about your publication, how do you keep track of everything, and how do you know all this and are able to give that to us out here as we look for your report every week?
We get a lot of reports from really top-notch organizations, and so it comes from people who have their fingers on the street level, and filters up to me. So I can't take much credit. That I just know what I observe, and a lot of good information to people who have been in the journalism biz like me for a while.
And that's a good point. Let's also talk about your background, because that is one of the keys. You have been in the real estate world and journalism for so many years. Tell people about your background, some of those important points.
Got on the real estate beat when I was at the San Antonio Express News a few decades ago. Came to Houston Chronicle, was there for quite a while, and we launched the Realty News Report over 10 years ago, and it's done well. And we like Texas. We're native Texans. So.
And let's tell people, in case they don't know about Realty News Report, you really have tremendous information all the time, surprising things. As far as the publication, describe it for those that may not have read your report.
Well, we have a lot of news on the website, realtynewsreport.com. Anybody can go there. It's open to the public 24/7. Just realtynewsreport.com, and you can go there. We also have, a newsletter. Goes out once a week and be a little bit more in depth and things. And you can subscribe to that if you go to realtynewsreport.com and just find our newsletter. And of course, we recently started, a podcast, adding a different element and different medium sort of to our. It's going good.
And how long have you had the podcast, Ralph?
About a month and a half. And it's just going pretty well. We've had some great guests. Chip Colville from Cushman and Wakefield, who's, he's leased space in almost every big skyscraper in downtown Houston. And so he knows what's happening there. And of course, that's a good conversation, because the office market, all these office buildings are in a tough spot right now, pretty much, because so many tenants are on hold and companies aren't moving, and people are, the oil companies are laying off people. So there's a lot of question marks. So Lacey Jacobs of Midway, and Midway is, they did City Center there on Katy Freeway at the tollway. They've also have a pretty major project on the east side that's just coming out of the ground, 150 acres, a little bit less than a mile from the eastern edge of downtown Houston. It used to be the Brown and Root facility. It's got a mile of frontage on Buffalo Bayou. It's going to be transformative for the east side, really, truly transformative. Oh, one interesting thing they just recently have done at East River, they call it, they took a bunch of, those containers, those metal containers that on the back of 18-wheelers and shipping and at the port, everything. They've stacked them up, tied them together, and put a screen on there. They're making it into a drive-in movie that's be something that the community can enjoy for a couple of years, a year or two, until things start happening more on that property.
And going back to the commercial aspects, the people in the commercial world of real estate, what are some of the things that they're expecting? Are they telling you what they think's around the corner as best they can guess and speculate? I know there's the term repurposing has come up a lot, but in the commercial world, what are these people telling you about how bad it is, or when it's going to turn around, and some of the other positive things?
Well, one thing is that with the retail, with the malls, there's been so much. Bed Bath & Beyond's gone, Palais Royal's gone, Sears is shrunk, JCPenney's is closed. There's scads of stores have closed, and all of them, many of them are facing tremendous amount of pressure from online sales, online retail, and that's the amount of Christmas shopping that's going to be done, holiday season shopping that's going to be done is going way up this year. The pandemic has accentuated this shift towards online sales, so maybe 40% of Christmas sales will be online sales. That's not good for the malls. The retail malls are in tough shape. The ones that the neighborhood type of center with a grocery store, that's okay, but the rest of them are feeling pressure, and the owners of them are feeling pressure because the stores and the restaurants there, they can't pay rent, and they don't have enough customers. They're not selling enough stuff, so that's kind of a big problem. And we will see probably some transformation going on with some of those properties. There's big regional mall there that where the big anchor stores have closed. Why not? Why can't we change some of those spaces into apartments, or even warehouses themselves? There's also reports that in some of these malls around the nation right now, Amazon itself says, hey, we need to have more and more warehouses close to the neighborhoods because our business is growing so much. They might take over a former, who knows, former Macy's, a former JCPenney or whatever, former Sears, and put in a distribution facility there in the mall. There's other uses happening, and it's being talked about, and it's started everywhere. And they're in trouble. They're in trouble. And some of those mall owners are in serious shape.
And as far as residential real estate, Ralph, what are some of the trends that you're seeing there, and what are some of the things you think we can expect to see in the next couple months or so?
I think it's continued strength. Residential is strong in terms of residential sales. Millennials are there now. They're ready to move. They're ready to get out of the urban areas, and on a national level, this is true. Who wants to be living in a high-rise tower in New York City where you got to get on an elevator with strangers every day and ride the subway to work? That's really true in that area. It's a big exodus, is the migration. But it's true that migration is happening from the coast. It's coming to places like Texas. Companies are coming here, jobs are coming here, housing's coming here. Housing's going to continue to be strong. And there's so many experts there, and it's one thing I do disagree with some of the experts on. They think that Houston, that their inventory is going to be outstripped and it's going to knock down sales somewhat. But I've never bought into that. I think the demand is so strong with 3% interest rates and lower. There's not going to be an inventory problem. It's going to be tougher in some places. It's going to be tighter. I think that sales will continue to grow. Big deal. Land way out in surrounding counties, surrounding Harris County in the core of Houston. Land is hot. Subdivision developers are out there buying land, looking for land. They're looking for places to build houses, start small subdivisions and 1,000-acre master plan communities. That land is there. The builders are having a great year, and it's driven by rates, and it's driven by people that are now, the work from home thing is fundamentally changing everything right now. Everything on the commercial side and office buildings, that's in the work from home trend is changing that. And then it's changing on the residential side, as people say, well, I'm only have to go in the office 3 days a week, so I don't mind driving in, having an hour-long commute 3 days a week. And I need a bigger house now. So they move, they get new construction homes farther from town, farther from the city, where they can get more square footage for their money, have a home office, place for the kids if the children are having to do school virtually or whatever. It's so that they need more space and they can get it in the suburbs. So the builders are building as fast as they can. There's a shortage of lumber, there's a shortage of lots, and it's serious.
We are talking with Ralph Bivens. He is the editor of Realty News Report. You can go to realtynewsreport.com. Ralph, we have about a minute left. Certainly you wrote the book a while back, Houston 2020. You still have tremendous relevant information as you highlight the spirit of Houston. You also talk about the different areas, the Galleria, the Energy Corridor, history of Houston. It really is a tremendous book. It's called Houston 2020. Let's tell people also, Ralph, the name of your podcast, and in the next 30 seconds, what else you'd like them to know. But let's tell them the name of the podcast. And again, the website is realtynewsreport.com. You could subscribe to the newsletter, see all the things coming up. And the name of the podcast, Ralph, is?
The name of the podcast is The Ralph Bivens Project. You can find it, links to the podcast we've done at the very bottom of my website, realtynewsreport.com. Go down there. There'll be links to the podcast. We're adding more. We have a really good one that's going to be posted right after the election, so be watching for that. And the book, Houston 2020, it's available on Amazon still. There's still relevant information. A lot has changed because of the pandemic. But there's still relevant information there.
In fact, last night I went back to certain parts of the book knowing I was going to talk with you, and it is great information. And the very beginning, I love that first part where you talk about the spirit of Houston and of Texas, and certainly that still maintains as we go forth. It'll be interesting to see what happens by next year at this time, all the changes and adjustments made. Ralph, once again, that website is realtynewsreport.com. They can learn everything there. And before we close, what else, Ralph?
Bill, I enjoyed your show that you had with Robert Duvall.
How about that?
That was fantastic. Yeah. He's one of my favorite actors. And I said, wow, man. So that's. I hope the Ralph Bivens Project gets to have some famous folks like that on our podcast sometime. But you do a great job. We appreciate you having me so much.
Super awesome. I'll tell Bob about you. Anyway, thank you so much. Ralph Bivens, check him out at realtynewsreport.com. Get the newsletter, and the podcast is the Ralph Bivens Project, right?
Project.
There you go.
Project.
Thanks, Ralph.
Hey, Bill.
In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewartInsurance.com. That's StewartInsurance.com, or call 866-798-2827.
Real Estate Matters would not be possible without our partner, Stewart Insurance. With a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers, Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risks. Here he is, John Bramlett with Stewart Insurance. John, welcome once again.
Thank you, Bill. Always a pleasure to be with you.
What an awesome show last week. Your hosting skills are incredible.
Well, I appreciate that very much. I know that when we were done with each segment, the guest kept saying, "Is Bill coming back? When's Bill coming back?"
Yeah,
so,
right.
So we're glad. I appreciate the opportunity to pinch it for you, but I'm glad that you're back in the starting lineup.
Well, it's super fun. You have a tremendous voice. And, earlier in the show, we had Matt Zeev with the Harris County Flood Control District. I just want to say one more time, we said it on that segment, John, you are the insurance guy. You are the place that people can go, Stewart Insurance, to get flood insurance. Let's once again say, get that flood insurance if you're anywhere near the Houston area. What do you think?
Well, absolutely. Everybody is in a flood zone other than a few counties in the Midwest. So whether it's a high-risk zone or not is to be determined, but everybody is in a flood zone, so it'd be worth spending a few minutes with hopefully one of our insurance advisors, but at least a insurance advisor, to make sure that you understand what the risk is for your area, and then if you'd like, get a feel for what that investment in flood insurance would be.
That's right. And they can call 866-798-2827.
I'd like to talk a little bit about risk and exposure and some of the elements that go with that. I had the good fortune of speaking with a real estate team recently about reducing risks, and there were some interesting things that came out of the conversation, so I thought that might be of interest for our listeners.
Indeed, it will be. Let's go.
Fantastic. So the first thing is to kind of look at the difference between risk and exposure. A risk is the probability of an event occurring that may lead to an undesired outcome. And exposure is the potential for monetary damages from those risks. So how do you manage that probability of an event occurring that may lead to an undesired outcome? If you can do that by reducing the probability of that event occurring, so performing some best practices, establishing some protocols in place to manage that risk, and then to offset that exposure, you reduce that monetary damage you might incur through insurance. So again, through being properly insured, you can offset that exposure, and then you can manage that risk by reducing the probability by having some best practices in place.
And that's a key, best practices. We have to know what they are depending on the kind of risk, right?
Absolutely. As a real estate professional, we all provide services and encounter risks. We as real estate professionals, we hold a legal responsibility and a moral responsibility. We hold a legal liability and a moral responsibility to those that we perform our real estate services for. So it's important that we keep that in mind, that we do have those responsibilities, because there are going to be situations where individuals may feel like that they've been misled, and when clients or prospective clients get that feel, that could be when potentially a lawsuit or a claim could come against a real estate professional because they felt like that either that risk wasn't managed or that we hadn't done the tasks that they had requested.
Well, that's a key. The feeling like something happened, and a person's perspective to them is everything, and that sometimes they go forth with an action, and there could be trouble. Absolutely.
There are any number of reasons why a client might file a lawsuit and a claim against a real estate professional. Some of the ones that you see more often are, they believe that they suffered a financial loss, or they believe the contract of services was breached. They believe fiduciary duty was breached. They believe they've not received the expected standards of care or what was promised. Or they believe that they were advised in a manner that exceeds the professional capacity and scope of the work that ultimately was not in their best interest. So those are just some of the reasons why somebody might file a claim or file a lawsuit. And like you said a second ago, it really boils down to the fact that they believe, they felt like they've been done wrong.
Indeed. As we think about risk and exposure, those are the things I think to have in mind when someone wants to talk to your company, Stewart Insurance, one of your associates, and find out what the right insurance, depending on the category, what that right insurance is. They could have that knowledge in mind as they speak to someone about general liability insurance, broker E&O, cyber liability, and all those things. So your people have a great way of helping tailor the individual's insurance to be so that they are properly insured.
Well, absolutely, Bill. That's a great point. That what we're going to do is have that conversation about what concerns our clients have. What are the risks that they're worried about, and what do they feel like the exposure is that they have, and based upon the risks that they're concerned about or the risks that we've seen in the industry, and based on the exposure that they feel like they have or the exposure that they're willing to take on, then we can have that conversation about how to offset that risk or those exposures, as well as maybe some tools to manage that risk. And based on those discussions, we can come up with a comprehensive insurance plan that best meets that client's needs.
And I think the nice thing, too, is when people call your company, it's very easy to have that conversation engaged, and your people are very, very knowledgeable and easy to talk with about these important matters.
Well, absolutely. We have a fantastic team. Our passion is to make a positive difference every day. Our goal is to be, the insurance resource for the real estate community. So, that's what we strive for every day, is to make sure that our clients are properly insured.
What's interesting, too, is it's always good to be prepared and think about what we need to do next to keep our risk and exposure at the lowest points to stay out of trouble. But this time of year, there's so many things we're thinking about, but this is also the time of year where a lot of policies are up for renewal, even though at any time someone could engage your services with an insurance policy of any kind. But this is the end of the year, thinking about the next year. It's always a time of reflection and preparation, and you're there to help people, once again, be properly insured.
Absolutely. So if it's a policy that's ready to renew and you would like to have an alternative set of eyes take a look at it, and potentially some additional quote options to consider, or just a question about the policy itself or what other policies you might want to consider, we'd be happy to have that conversation.
And how easy is it, John, to have that conversation with your company?
Well, it's really easy, Bill. You can call us at 866-798-2827. That's 866-798-2827. You can shoot us an email at stewartinsurance@stewart.com. Or if you'd like to learn a little bit more about the firm, you can visit us at www.stewartinsurance.com.
That's right, 866-798-2827. Thank you so much, John. And you have been listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik, and of course here with John Bramlett. We're going to be back in the studio once again next week. Looking forward to that. Thank you all for listening to the show. And of course, you can go to stewart.com/Houston to hear any and all the shows and see the complete, even if you don't want to listen to the show, you can see the complete roster of all the guests. And I might say it is very impressive. Once again, stewart.com/Houston. Don't forget to get flood insurance, stewartinsurance.com. Thank you so much, John Bramlett, and thank you all for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title.
In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewartInsurance.com. That's StewartInsurance.com, or call 866-798-2827. If you're a real estate professional, then listen closely. Cyber criminals are targeting our industry. They are impersonating real estate professionals, homebuyers, sellers, and title agents. Their goal is to gain access to your inboxes, computers, and clients so they can steal information and funds. Does your business insurance offset these risks? Not sure? Contact Stewart Insurance to determine if your business is properly insured. Visit StewartInsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. Visit StewartInsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.